All right, in the next section, the directions say to find the indicated value. So in number 2, the first thing I want you to notice is that we have a point that is at the center right here. And all of these angles and arcs are going to be, the angles are going to be central angles, and the arcs are going to be the arcs associated with those central angles. So remember that those are going to be congruent, meaning that if this arc is 70 from F to G, that means that this angle, this central angle, also has to be 70. Okay. What else do we notice? We notice that we have two angles marked as congruent. So these two are marked as congruent. So something I can immediately do is add my vertical angles. And so if that is 70, then this is going to be a 70-degree central angle, which makes this a 70-degree arc. And then immediately I know that I have a diameter going on right here. And so that diameter is going to create a 180-degree angle, which means that this is going to have to be 110 degrees, which means that the arc is going to measure 110 degrees. This pink arc is also going to be 110 degrees, 110, and each of these angles is going to be 55 because they're marked as congruent. And so that whole angle would be 110, but each of those is 55. So I've already filled in anything they could ask me for now. I have all of the values in the picture that I could possibly need. So how do I find the measure of angle EDG? So that starts at point E, goes to the center at D, and then goes to G. That's this one right here. How do I find that angle? Well, that angle is going to be a semicircle, which I know is going to measure 180 degrees, because E to G is a diameter, so that must be a 180-degree angle. How do I find arc IG? Well, many people were asking me last week, well, Ms. Hall, how do I know if I go from here to here for IG or if I go all the way around the circle? Because it's two letters, something I want you to notice is that's going to be a minor arc. Two letters will yield a minor arc, and so that has to be the minor movement, which is less than 180 degrees, so it has to be the 110. So it's going to be a 110-degree angle. All right, how do I find F to H to E? Well, as soon as you see F to H to E, I want you to remember that that's three letters. That is either going to be a semicircle or a major arc. And so when you start at F, you go around to point H before you hit point E. That is going to be the sum of the 70, the 110, and the 70. You could also just do 360 minus the 110 you did not use. So that's going to be 250 degrees. That is a major arc. 250 is major. Okay, how do we find angle IDH? This is an angle, so it doesn't matter how many letters it uses. I to D to H starts at I, goes into the center at point D, and then comes out. What is that angle? That is going to be a 55-degree angle. And then how do I find arc GIF? That's three letters, so it should be 180 or more. G through I before it gets to F. So starting at G, going through I, before it goes all the way around and stops at F, that's major. That's going to be all of the circle except for the 70. So I'm going to do 360 minus 70. So 360 minus 70 is going to leave me 290 degrees for that arc, and that is a major arc. Okay? All right, this next picture looks a little bit more complicated because it has algebraic expressions on it. But what do we notice about all three of these algebraic expressions? Well, when we put this yellow one, this central angle, next to this blue one, next to this pink one, all of those together make they all connect at the center. And remember, whenever you go around that circle, how many degrees do you go? It's 360 degrees around that point. So we're going to add all of these up to 360. This makes a full 360. So you're going to do 10a minus 4 plus 8a plus 6 plus 6a minus 2, and all of those should add up to 360 degrees. So there's the blue part, there is the, that's the pink part, here is the blue part, the light blue part, and then here's the yellow part. All three of those should add up to 360, and so we're going to combine our like terms. 10 plus 8a plus 6a is going to give me a total of 24a. I'm going to go ahead and put my constants together. Negative 4 plus 6 minus 2 is going to give me 0. So if 24a equals 360, how do I solve for a? Well, we're going to divide by 24 on both sides. So 360 divided by 24 is going to give me 15. So a is 15. And now they just want me to go back and find some of these arcs or find some of these angles. And so how do I find arc FH, starting at F, going to H? Again, that's minor. I'm going to plug that in. That's going to be 10 times 15 minus 4. So 10 times 15, of course, is going to give me 150 minus 4. That is going to give me a 146 degree minor arc. Again, that's 2 letters, so I know that that's a good answer. How do I find HGF? Starting at H, touching G first, and then going to F. That's the major arc that is associated with that other minor arc. So that's just going to be the rest of the circle. So that's going to be 180. We're going to do 180 degrees minus what I just found the other one was, that minor arc, which is 146. I'm sorry, 360 is what I need to do there. 360, because I need it to be major. And so I have the full circle, 360, minus the yellow part, which was 146. So what is 360 minus 146? It's going to give me a major arc of 214 degrees, which is major because it measures more than 180, and that's 3 letters. All right, how do I find angle? So central angle, FEG. So starting at F, going to E, and then going to G. That is going to be the blue part. So I'm just going to plug in 15 into that blue piece. So FEG, I'm going to highlight that in blue. That is going to be that blue central angle, that light blue central angle. We are going to do 8 times 15 minus, or plus 6. 8 times 15 plus 6. So 8 times 15 is 120, plus 6 is going to give me 126 degrees for that angle, and that does make sense in regards to the picture. All right, the next set of directions for 4 through 11 say solve for the indicated values. Lines that appear to be tangent are tangent. So let's look at number 4 first. The first thing I notice is that I have this arc is marked as congruent to this arc. So arc DC is congruent to AB. Why does that matter? Because if those arcs are congruent, then the chords are going to be congruent. So we know that if the arcs are congruent, the chords are congruent. So what do I have left for the other chord for X? It's going to be a 28 unit chord as well. Okay. Number 5, what do I see happening immediately? The first thing I see is these right angles. This point is going to be at the center, and it is perpendicular to both of these chords. Well, what does that mean? If those are perpendicular to the chords, that means we've got these chords that are both 16, so those are congruent. If those chords are congruent, what does that mean about their arcs, their corresponding arcs? Those arcs are also going to be congruent. So the pink pieces are congruent, the blue pieces are congruent, and those yellow pieces are congruent as well. So I know that this is going to be 108 degrees. That arc is 108 degrees as well. Now, number 6, we do appear to have some tangent lines. What are those? Where are those tangent lines? There appears to be one here, and there appears to be one here. It says that lines that appear to be tangent are tangent, so we get to add those right angles there. Okay. So what does this mean? Well, we've got a quadrilateral on this circle. We know that those add up to 360, so I could do 360 minus 90 minus 90. And what am I going to have left? 180. Well, 140 and X are going to have to add up to 180. So we know that 140 plus X, those are not congruent, you can tell, because one is acute and one is obtuse. But those have a sum of 180, which means that I'm going to have 40 degrees left for X, because those are going to be supplementary to each other. Okay. All right, number 7 looks complicated, but we're just going to take it step by step. It looks like I've got some inscribed angles. They're not going to the center, they're vertexes on the circle. So I've got this inscribed angle, and then I also have this yellow inscribed angle. So how do I find X? Well, if you look at the yellow inscribed angle, it's got an arc there, which is 44. So if I take that 44, X is going to be 44 divided by 2, which is going to give me a 22 degree angle, because that is going to be an inscribed angle. Inscribed angle. And we know that the relationship between the arc, the intercepted arc, and the inscribed angle is that the inscribed angle is exactly half of that arc. So that's going to be 22 degrees here. Got a 22 degree angle there. Now I've got a 54 degree angle, which means that this arc is going to be double. So Y is going to be 54 times 2. That is going to give me 108 degrees for this arc. 108 degrees for Y. Okay, how do I find W? Did I do that in the right spot? Yes, Y is 108 degrees. Now I need to find W, so let's go find where W is at in the picture. W is happening here. It is vertical to this one. We already know that this one is 54. We know that this one's 22. If you look at this picture, we've got a triangle, this blue triangle. We know that that adds up to 180. So I'm going to do 180 minus 54 minus 22. And when I do that, I should get 104 degrees. And those are verticals. That is also going to be W. And so that's 104 degrees. And I will start a new video for the next section.